All right, we're going to be picking up where we left off in the previous tutorial. Um, we are trying to create the pencil tower, which is this image here. In the last tutorial, we went over how to construct the horizontal bars, which is still active, but for this tutorial, we are going to talk about the vertical members. So the first thing I'll do is just open up Para really quickly. Um, and just adjust these horizontal members. So I can do that by just selecting the member. I'll go to the original para node. I'm going to adjust the height in max, have the node selected, and we'll update it. So that'll just give us a little bit more flexibility. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, as in the previous tutorial, is create the member that we're going to array, which is going to be inherently linked to the horizontal members. So we will go to the Create tab. We want to create a line. All my settings are the same as the previous. Enable in render mode, enable in viewport. Also, you want to make sure that the rectangular is activated, as well as the initial type corner and drag type also corner. So I'll just go to the top view, hold Shift, and then finish there. Okay, and then I will then select the member. And now we're going to put that into Para. So I'll open up Para. We want this as a copy. Previously, we did this as an instance because we weren't going to adjust these members at all. In this specific case, we are, so we'll keep these as a copy. The array count we can adjust. For now, I'll keep it at 10, and this is going to be a two-dimensional array, right? We're going to be working in one dimension here, and then the second dimension in here. Whereas the previous, we only worked in the sort of z-axis, if you will. So I'll adjust this to 15 for now, and we'll hit Create. And then we would like to access all the vertices. So we'll make sure to select yes there as well, as that'll be a sort of integral part of how this whole thing kind of comes together. Okay, so here is the para node containing the member that we've just created. The first thing I will want to do is expand the options. And we're actually going to go down here and expand the master options as well, mainly because we are concerned with vertex 1 and also vertex 2. These are essentially going to be the sort of the cornerstones of this tutorial. So okay, so the first thing I'll need to do is activate both vertex 1 and vertex 2. So instead of dragging out these two from here, I'm actually just going to highlight and then go to the control panel and then double click to add a controller, considering I need the same controller for both vertices. So in this case, I'll need a curve controller. I'll double click, and then I want to keep this as a copy. So I'll hit OK. And now I've got two curve controllers that are already selected and attached, and they're sort of neatly organized. So with my curve controllers selected, I want to pick an object, which is within the scene, is going to be my horizontal members. I do want to create a link between the two arrays, so I will hit yes. And then also, since I'm going to need two controllers, I can go up to the top ribbon here and just select Make It Unique, which is a quick way of giving me two individual controllers with the same sort of functionality, as opposed to sort of pulling everything out individually. This is just kind of a quick way of duplicating controllers. Okay, so we are going to select this controller, and we are just going to update here. Let's see what happens. All right, and as you can see, everything is still connected to one vertex. So we need to select this. Choose the next item in D1 because we don't want everything going to the same vertex. And now we're going to update that. And there you go. So now we're all moving in the right direction. And there's a few things that we're going to need to adjust along the way. But since we need these, like this corner to match up with this corner here, the first thing we'll need to do, oops, looks like we lost our model. We'll need to go to the original node and uncheck all. So now we can see the count. And we'll reduce the count. Oh, sorry, we'll increase the count. to 15. Okay, so after we increase the number in D1, we'll need to go back to the horizontal members, and we'll decrease this to 15, and then update it. Okay, so now the grid looks good, and we are getting a little bit closer to this image here. So, okay, so now we have our vertical members, but we need to introduce some diagonals. So the first thing I'll do is select my curve controllers. I'm just going to right click, copy, and paste. Okay. Just for organizational sake, I'm going to select my controller and just rename them just so I know. So this is going to be vertical 1. This one is going to be vertical 2. These are my diagonal members. So that's going to be diagonal 1, and this one will be diagonal 2. Okay, and these are actually going to bypass my vertical controllers. So we're going to take the output here and then just bypass our vertical controllers there. And we'll do the same for the top as well. Okay, but we need to tell these diagonal controllers sort of how to move. So what we need to do is introduce a pattern controller. So I'm just going to double click on the canvas, pattern controller. Okay, so I want to take the pattern controller output and put it into the local offset of my diagonal. And I want to do that because it's going to give me enough flexibility to shift things locally at a sort of specified distance. And that is done through the pattern map, which we are going to define now. So I'm going to go with 0.5, and then it's going to shift negative 0.5. Hit enter, and then I'm basically just going to inverse the two. So I'll start with a negative 0.5, comma, end with 0.5. And then let's just update it from there. As you can see, we need to make a few adjustments, starting with the diagonal, the curve controller. We don't want we want to sort of deactivate the wrap around the bounds. We'll make that no and then update. And essentially what that means is when you're dealing with an open curve or a closed curve for that matter, there's a directionality to the curvature. There's going to be a start and an end. So when the pattern is finished, it's going to restart. We don't want that in this case. We'd like it to end at the end of the bound. So we want to deactivate the wraparound bounds. Okay, so another thing that I've noticed here when dealing with this wraparound as well is that you can see that you want the number of horizontal members to be, well, you actually want, sorry, you want the number of horizontal members to be one more than your vertical members. So everything is set to 15. I want to take this and I'm just going to increase this by 1, and then I'll update, and you can see that it cleans things up significantly. So pretty minor, but it actually makes a pretty significant difference. So this was with dealing with the first tutorial. I just changed that count to 16, and if we were to check it, the vertical members here, those are set to 15. So essentially, the kind of golden rule is to make sure that you have one more space allotted, and in this case for our horizontal members. Okay, so moving on, I'll need to copy the pattern controller. So I'm just going to copy and then paste, and then we will we'll keep all this the same, and we will connect it locally as well, and then update it, select, and then we'll update it. Also, we'll need to select this, turn off the wraparound bounds, and then we'll update one more time. All right. So now we have this really nice offset. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need to do is select our pattern controller. And instead of going in and sort of dealing with this manually or adjusting it manually, we can come here and we have these sort of short keys, and we just essentially need to rotate this 90 degrees. So I'll just select that. Everything is rotated. I'll update, and now you see that we've got our diagonal members activated here. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need to do is introduce what's called a blend controller. And what that's going to do, it's going to take our newly formed pattern, and it's going to blend that with the initial vertical pattern that we created when we first started the tutorial. Okay, so one quick tip is I'm just going to select everything really quickly and then just organize it, and I can do that through the arrange nodes, and this looks a little bit better. Just in case, the more complicated you get, the more nodes you're going to have. It's a quick little tip to keep things organized on the canvas. Okay, so like I mentioned before, we're going to need a blend controller to mediate between the diagonal and the vertical, which is then going to be sort of manifested in the facade, which is what we're looking for. So okay, so we're going to select the diagonal curve controller. We're going to click once on the curve controller to add a blend controller. Type in blend. Double click to add, and we are going to attempt to preserve the current controller as subcontroller. And I'll show you what that does in a second. So I'll select OK. Basically, what that did is it disconnected my diagonal from the original para node, and then made that a sort of sub-object of the blend controller. So we'll need to do that down here as well. So we will get this thing to unhide, and then we're just going to repeat the same steps. So we'll click, find the blend controller, double click, attempt to preserve, OK, and now we're set up. Okay, so the last thing we're going to need to do is sort of finish the blend, and we'll need to do that by selecting our initial vertical controller, and we'll take that output and we'll put that into controller B. When we added the blend controller, it already sort of automatically connected the diagonal to controller A, which was great, which is saved kind of a step. And then we just take the vertical and then add that to B. We'll need to repeat that same step here. So we're just going to take the vertical output, put that into controller B. Okay. And we'll also need to add a graph controller, which is going to dictate the amount or the sort of the kind of intensity of the blend. So it gives you some nice control. So double click on the canvas, and this will be one of the last steps. Add a graph controller. We'll go into the options. We're not going to need this center node, so we can just select that, and then we can go up here and delete. And we're going to raise this side up. As we've selected it, you can be pretty precise just by either dragging it, or you can just type in a numeric. This will remain at 0, and you can also adjust this to play with the blend. Okay, so now we need to attach the graph controller. So we'll take the output and put it into the blend amount here, and we'll just drag this up, put that sort of in the middle, and then we'll also take the output again, and then put that also in the blend amount of both vertices. Then from there, we can just select the node, and then we'll update. Okay, so this doesn't look exactly like the photo, so what we're going to need to do is, the issue is probably coming from the graph controller, so we'll just need to select this handlebar, and we'll try going in the opposite direction. This is most likely the issue. And we'll select this one too. And we'll bring this handlebar down. Okay, and let's select the node, and let's try updating that again. And there you have it. So it's pretty close. I mean, it took us about 10-15 minutes. And then if we look here. We can kind of compare. Obviously, it needs a little bit more tweaking, but you have all the elements in place. Okay, and since everything is sort of built in, we can adjust the counts as we desire. So if I wanted to increase this number, say to 19, perhaps 25, if we wanted to, we can update, and then it's obviously updating dynamically. So again, we have all the sort of parameters set. We can just go in and kind of tweak this as we need, and then just kind of organize. And there you have it. Okay, so there is your newly formed paraflow. We will just maximize the results. So there you have the facade. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the forum, and either someone from the Para3D community or someone here at Para3D will hopefully get back to you soon. Thanks again for watching. Much appreciated.